So this is the Soundboks Gen 4. It's a super durable and super portable Bluetooth speaker that sounds better and it's more power efficient than its predecessor. But today we're going to see how the Soundboks Gen 4 stacks up to both the JBL Partybox 310 and the Sony XV800. Two very popular portable Bluetooth speakers, but these aren't as durable or as powerful as the Soundboks Gen 4. But let's see if it's worth it to you to spring for the Soundboks 4. Regarding pricing, the JBL Partybox 310 is the oldest speaker here and it retails for $550, but it does like to go on sale from time to time. But then there's the Sony XV800, which was released in the spring of 2023, and it has a retail price of $650, but it also likes to go on sale from time to time. And in this video, we're also going to be lightly touching on the Sony XP700, which has a retail price of $550. But finally, there's the Soundboks 4, which has a retail price of $1,000. Overall, all of these speakers are good, but you'll be better off with one over the other depending on your needs. Nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these speakers up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, linked down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button and let's get subscribed. Now first, let's talk about the design of these speakers. Now, all of these speakers are meant to be portable box speakers that you can relatively easily take them on the go with you. And both the Partybox and Sony have built-in wheels so they can roll them around. However, the wheels on the Partybox are just a lot better than the wheels found on the Sony. And both the Partybox and Sony are water resistant, so a little bit of rain isn't going to hurt them. However, these speakers just aren't as durable or as portable as the Soundboks. With both the JBL and Sony, these have a mostly plastic body which can get scratched very easily, and their grills can get dented very easily as well. Whereas with the Soundboks, this speaker has an aluminum frame with silicone balls on each corner, and it has a much thicker steel grill on the front. So overall, this thing can take a much harder beating, and it's also much more water resistant than these other two speakers. I also feel that it's a little smaller, so you can more easily cram it into your car, and it's also a little lighter, weighing in at 35.5 pounds, whereas these other two speakers weigh in a little over 40 pounds. So overall, all of these speakers are very portable, but if durability is very important to you, then the Soundboks is a no-brainer. However, something that the Soundboks just doesn't have is a light feature, and if you plan on mostly using your speaker at home or in your man cave, then this could be a minor deciding factor. But overall, I do feel that JBL's light feature looks a little more impressive than Sony's light feature. However, if you do decide to use the light feature on these speakers, that is going to take an additional toll on the battery life. Now, when it comes to battery life, the JBL Partybox 310 has an advertised battery life of 18 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 18 hours is with this speaker playing at 50% volume, which is already a really good listening volume, but that's with the bass boost feature turned off and with the light feature turned off as well. But real-world use with this speaker playing at 65% volume, which is a really good volume to use while you're with friends, and with the bass boost feature turned on and with the light feature turned on, then the 310 is going to be good for around 7 to 8 hours of playback time. But then there's the Sony XV800, which has an advertised battery life of 25 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 25 hours is with this speaker playing at 30% volume and with the light feature turned off, but with the mega bass feature turned on, which is good. However, real-world use with this speaker playing at 65% volume and with the light feature turned on and with the mega bass feature turned on, then it's going to be good for around 10 hours of playback time, which is still very impressive. But in general, battery life on these speakers really varies depending on how you use them. But with both the JBL Partybox 310 and the Sony XV800, if you use them at max volume and with their light features turned on and with their bass boost features turned on as well, then they're both going to be good for around 4 hours of playback time, or maybe a little less than that. But then there's the Soundboks 4, and the battery life on the speaker is on a whole other level. Now, first off, if you were to use this speaker with its stock EQ while at 50% volume, then it's going to be good for around 40 hours of playback time, which is is a lot. However, if you were to use the speaker at max volume while it's in its stage EQ, and this is the EQ setting that you want to use if you want to get the most out of the speaker, because while in its stage EQ, it's going to get louder and it's going to have more bass, then at max volume is going to be good for around 6 hours of playback time. And both 50% volume and max volume on the Soundboks 4 is significantly louder than 50% volume or max volume on both the JBL or Sony. So the Soundboks 4 easily has the best performing battery here, but also you can easily swap out this battery. So if you have multiple batteries, then you'll be able to keep the party going for longer. Now, regarding connectivity, both the JBL and Sony can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. Whereas with the Soundboks can only be connected to 1 device at a time. But with all of these speakers, they have an audio jack, so you can always just use them with a wired connection. However, with both the JBL and Soundboks, they both have an audio out jack, so you can always daisy chain any other speaker to these 2 speakers and get them to play in sync. Whereas with the Sony, it doesn't have an audio out jack. However, it does have an optical port, so if you want, you can always use it as a soundbar with your TV. And also, with both the JBL and Sony, they do have USB ports, so you can always plug in a USB stick and play music off of it. Whereas with the Soundboks, you can't.
And finally, with all of these speakers, you can plug in 2 1/4-inch microphones for karaoke, or you can plug in a guitar. However, with the Soundboks, it is using an XLR combo jack. So if you want, you can also plug in a mixer. So if you're somebody that likes to moonlight as a DJ, then you might want to go with the Soundboks. However, if you're a much more casual type of user, and you're just looking for a speaker because you want to do karaoke, then you might want to go with the JBL. Because with the JBL, you can easily adjust the sound of your microphone either from the control panel up top or through JBL's app. And here you can adjust the bass, you can also adjust the treble if you want to, or you can also add an echo if you really want to. Now personally, I never really use an echo on my microphone, but it's there if you want it.
But with all of that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Regarding speaker setup, the Soundboks 4 has a dual frontward firing woofers with exhaust ports that shoot out the sides, and there's a frontward firing tweeter horn. But then there's the JBL Partybox 310, which has a dual frontward firing woofers with an exhaust port that shoots out the back, and it has a dual frontward firing tweeters. Next up, there's the Sony XV800, which also has dual frontward firing woofers, but its exhaust port shoots out the front, and it has a total of 5 tweeters, 3 on the front and 2 on the back. But when the speaker is standing upright like this, it'll use these 2 tweeters on the top and the 2 on the back. And in this sound test, we're also going to include the Sony XP700, which has a similar speaker setup to the XV800. It has dual frontward firing woofers, but its exhaust port shoots out the back, and it has a total of 4 tweeters, 3 on the front and 1 on the back. But when it's standing up like this, it'll use the top 2 tweeters and the 1 on the back. But now we're going to jump into the sound test. Now, so that these other speakers have a chance of keeping up with the Soundboks, they're all going to be playing while they're plugged in. Because if you use these speakers while they're plugged in, you're going to get a performance boost out of them. They're going to get louder and they're going to have more bass. Except for the Soundboks. You shouldn't use it past 50% volume if it's plugged in. But now we're actually going to jump into the sound test. All of these speakers are playing at 75% volume. The Soundboks is using its stage EQ. Both of the Sonys have their mega bass feature turned on, and the Partybox 310 has its bass boost feature set to deep.
A little rain on my suit. A little bit of anger makes you cute. We've been watching this show so long, but it feels like everything that we wrote went back into the band we used. Won't take long, yeah, when I'm without you, babe. So listen up and play along. And that's how time flies, like we had a different time. Tell me that you happiness inside this booth. You're taking me to places old and new, sweeter song than our favorite song. And it feels like every time that it comes on, we just roll on till the day's done and the lights gone, and it won't take long. Even when I'm without you, when I'm without you, babe, so listen up and play along. Yeah. And that's how time flies, like we are different time. Tell me that you're even feeling down for anything. Ooh, for anything. It's fun, and then we keep on walking all night. Tell me that you're even feeling down for anything. Ooh, I'm down for anything. Down, down, can we keep it? Down, down, can we keep it? Down, down. Ooh, I'm down for anything. Down, down, can we keep it? Down, down, can we keep it? Down, down. Ooh, I'm down for anything. Hold on, I can feel it covering us over like a wave. Hold on, I can feel it covering us over like a wave. Hold on, I can feel it covering us over like a wave. Hold on, I can feel it covering us over like a wave.
So first, I think we need to address max volume performance on these speakers. Plainly said, the Soundboks 4 gets significantly louder than all of these other speakers, which is one of its main selling points alongside its long-lasting swappable battery and just overall durability. Now, don't get me wrong, the Partybox 310, Sony XV800, and Sony XP700 all get very loud and you'll rarely have to use them at max volume for your casual or large get-together of, let's say, 25-ish people. But with the Soundboks at max volume, this thing is a problem. It's going to cause hearing damage and you are going to get a visit from the cops. And mind you, in this sound test, these speakers were playing while they were plugged in so that they can keep up with the Soundboks. Because with all of these speakers, if you were to use them while they're running off of their internal batteries, they aren't going to get as loud or have as much bass. But still, they get plenty loud. But if you want the loudest speaker here, then you'll want to go with the Soundboks. But when it comes to the overall sound quality of these speakers, first off, the Soundboks 4 has a much more balanced and much more fuller sound signature to it, especially when compared to its predecessor, the Soundboks 3, which leans towards a brighter sound signature. Now, the Soundboks 4 also has an impressive amount of physicality in its bass, and it's going to rattle the walls in your house. But there's a decent amount of it that's on the audible side as well. But then there's the Partybox 310. Now, the Partybox 310 doesn't get as loud as the Soundboks, but it does have a lot of physicality in its bass. And since it has a rear firing exhaust port, you can always amplify its bass as well by placing it up against the wall. But even though the Partybox 310 has a lot of bass to it, the mids and vocals are very well defined as well. But then there's the XV800. Now, the bass on this speaker is more to the audible side and there's less physicality to it. But what really sets the XV800 apart here is its much more neutral sound signature and better instrument separation. Because when compared to the XP700, yeah, it has more physicality in its bass, but it sounds muffled and narrow when compared to all of these other speakers. But finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now, with the Soundboks 4, you can always wirelessly pair it up to any other Soundboks 4, a Soundboks 3, or to a Soundboks Go. And you can have up to 5 soundboxes playing together. And through Soundboks' app, you can actually go in and assign what role you want each speaker to play. So if you want, you can always get any two sound boxes and get them to play in left and right stereo mode. Whereas with the Partybox, you can wirelessly connect it to a Partybox Encore, a 110, a 310, a 710, or to a Partybox Ultimate, and you can only have a total of two Partyboxes wirelessly connected to one another. And if you want to get left and right stereo sound going, you do have to have two of the exact same speakers. But then there's the Sony. Now you can always wirelessly pair it up to any of Sony's other larger box speakers, like let's say an XV900, XV800, XP700, or to an XP500. Or you can also pair your larger Sony box speakers to any of Sony's smaller speakers, like let's say an XG500, XG300, XE300, XE200, or to an XB43, XB33, or XB23, and you can have up to 100 speakers paired together. And personally, I really like having this type of versatility with a Sony speaker pairing protocol. However, if you do want to get left and right stereo sound going, then you are going to need two of the exact same speakers. And also, even though Sony speaker pairing protocol is very accommodating, sometimes it can be a bit of a hassle to use. Sometimes it can take a while for all of your speakers to get paired together. Sometimes you might have to go through the pairing process multiple times, and sometimes echoes do form. Now, I'm not saying that this always happens, but it does happen sometimes, and it does seem to happen especially when you have more than 3 speakers paired together. Personally, I do find that Soundboxes and JBL speaker pairing protocols are a lot more stable, but they're just not as accommodating as Sony's. However, like I mentioned earlier, both the Soundbox and JBL do have those audio out jacks, so you can always daisy chain any other speakers to these two speakers and get them to play in sync. So with all that being said, both the JBL Partybox 310 and Sony XV800 are very capable and very popular portable box speakers that sound good, and you can take them almost anywhere. And thanks to their light features, they're both good options for your man cave. However, if you're looking for something that's a lot more durable, a lot more portable, something with a much longer lasting battery, and something that gets way louder, then it will be worth it to spring for the Soundboks 4. Because if you plan on constantly taking your speaker on the go with you, or if you plan on being rough with it, you're not gonna have to worry about the Soundboks like you would with these other speakers. Because with these other speakers, you do have to baby them a little bit. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.